Coming up on this Tuesday edition of Daybreak, 3 days on and still no clues as to what happened. Investigators widen the search area in a bid to locate the missing Malaysia Airlines plane. Authorities also say 2 passengers travelling with stolen passports were not Asian-looking. Following a series of massive security breaches by financial institutions in Korea, the government unveils measures to protect personal information and raises the penalties for personal data misuse. Plus, the Libyan Navy seizes a North Korean flagged tanker after it had loaded $30 million worth of crude at a rebel-held port. The ship is now being escorted to western Libya. Daybreak begins now. Thanks for joining us. To all our viewers here in Korea and around the world, it's 6 a.m. on Tuesday, March 11th here in Seoul. You're watching Daybreak and I'm Mark Broom. Our top story this morning, more than 72 hours have passed, but still no sign of Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. As the mystery deepens, authorities are widening the search area in an effort to locate the missing jetliner. One of the investigators says the 2 passengers travelling with stolen passports on the flight were not Asian-looking men. Paulie reports.
Malaysian authorities said Monday they had identified one of the 2 suspicious passengers of the missing airliner. Interpol earlier confirmed at least 2 passengers on board had been traveling on fake passports from Australia and Italy. Police Inspector Khalid Abu Bakar reportedly confirmed that the suspect is not a Malaysian, but could not divulge which country he was from yet. Meanwhile, China has lashed out at Malaysia's national carrier and aviation officials for the way it's handled the investigation of the Boeing 777 that disappeared over the East China Sea. Chinese state media has criticized Malaysian authorities for not contacting the families of the victims sooner and for the apparent lack of security checks. Beijing's foreign ministry has also urged Malaysia to step up its search efforts for the missing airliner and the 239 passengers on board.
This was a Malaysia Airlines aircraft, so it should be the Malaysian authorities that are mainly responsible for the search and rescue efforts. The Chinese government will also do all it can to participate in search and rescue efforts as well.
Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 took off from Kuala Lumpur on Saturday, but vanished from radar en route to Beijing. There have been sightings of oil slicks and reported pieces of debris, but international efforts have failed to find the wreckage even after 3 days of scouring the sea. As of Monday, 40 ships and 34 planes from 9 countries had joined the operations, with the search now expanded to the Malacca Strait and on land in Malaysia. Paul Yi, Arirang News.
Following a series of security breaches by financial institutions in the country, the government has unveiled a set of preventive measures that include tougher punitive actions and improvements in the data management system. Na Hyung-Young reports.
From the latter half of this year, financial institutions will only be able to ask for customers' resident registration numbers at the initial application stage. After that, people will not be asked to provide their registration numbers, but instead be asked to verify their identity through other safer means. The registration numbers have been at the center of a recent series of high-level personal information security breaches, and toughening their use is a key part of a package unveiled by the government on Monday to fight widespread leaks of personal data. Financial institutions will also not be allowed to keep collected information for more than 5 years after the final transaction.
Apart from the information that's absolutely necessary, all other data that the financial institution either has or has provided to a third party will be destroyed. The police and the prosecution will jointly and indefinitely crack down on breaches.
The government has also tightened the penalty system. If a company is found to have used illegally obtained personal information to make profits, it will be fined 3% of the total sales made through using the data. Also, a fine of up to 5 billion won, or roughly $4.7 million will be levied on firms that leak customer information. Officials reaffirmed that customers will only have to give just their basic information, such as their registration number and date of birth, for receiving financial services. People will also be given the option to retract on an agreement to provide personal data and also block telemarketing calls from financial institutions. But industry experts are already questioning whether these measures will be effective, saying most of them have either been practiced or are merely a reiteration of similar policies from the past. 나현경, Arirang News.
Korea, the world's most wide nation, is looking to shore up its information communication and technology infrastructure this year. The ministry in charge says it plans to funnel over $4.5 billion into the sector. Ji Myung-gil reports on where the money will be spent.
Korea's Science Ministry says it will inject 4.9 trillion won, or some $4.6 billion into the country's information technology sector this year in order to fuel economic growth and enhance the country's overall competitiveness. The Ministry of Science, ICT and Future Planning says the money will be used to fund numerous projects in central government agencies that were initiated by regional governments. $1 billion will be used to strengthen IT research, while another $1 billion will be used to upgrade the nation's information and communications technology infrastructure. Key projects to receive large amounts of funding include the country's digital infrastructure and initiatives to increase the country's presence in cloud computing, mobile services, and next-generation mobile wireless technology. The Trade Ministry says ICT exports have increased 8.4% this year from last to $12.8 billion, fueled by an increase in exports of mobile phones and semiconductors. That gave Korea an ICT trade surplus of $6.6 billion in February, which is a 1.6% increase from the same month last year. Global technology research group Gartner says the world's ICT market will grow 3.6% this year, fueled by a recovery in the smartphone and semiconductor markets. Ji Myung-gil, Arirang News.
Now, some strong words from President Park Geun-hye about regulations in Korean society. In a meeting with her senior secretaries on Monday, the president, who has pledged to cut down on red tape as part of a 3-year economic plan, referred to unnecessary regulations as a, quote, enemy, and even went further by calling them cancerous tumours. She said Korea will only be able to innovate and sustain growth by getting rid of useless regulations. Pundits took note of the president's stronger tone compared to past remarks on the subject. They say it suggests she may be growing frustrated with the slow progress in slashing regulations, despite her repeated calls for action. Thousands of doctors in Korea took part in a one-day strike on Monday in protest of a government plan to enact reforms in the medical sector. In turn, the government vowed to deal sternly with those who walked out. Kwon So-ah has more on the first such medical strike in Korea in 14 years.
A one-day strike led by the Korean Medical Association began Monday morning and ended at 6 p.m. Doctors refused to provide medical services, and many hospitals across the nation were closed. The government ordered doctors to return to work immediately. The health ministry's estimates say that 29% of doctors nationwide participated in the walkout, while the Medical Association puts the figure at 47%. Although some patients were inconvenienced by the strike, it didn't cause as many problems as initially feared. President Park Geun-hye has reiterated the government's vow to take legal measures against striking doctors, including a 15-day business suspension.
국민에게 피해를 주는 행위에 대해서는 반드시 책임을 묻고 법과 원칙에 따라 엄정 대응할 것입니다.
It's regrettable that we had to make the extreme decision of closing hospitals and not treating patients. I am resentful toward the government.
The KMA strike was called in protest of a government plan to introduce a telemedicine system that would allow for patients in remote areas to be diagnosed via webcam, smartphone, or even email. KMA doctors say it will impair the quality of medical services. The Medical Association is also up in arms over a government move to run for-profit subsidiaries. While the government says it will improve the nation's medical industry, the KMA says it will only lead to a hike in medical bills. Doctors are concerned the reforms could eventually lead to privatization of the medical sector. Following Monday's walkout, the strike will transition to a work-to-rule action starting Tuesday and running through March 23rd, meaning doctors won't work more than 40 hours a week and will treat patients for no longer than 15 minutes. A full 6-day strike is then planned to begin on the 24th, which, unlike today's action, could also include the closing of emergency rooms and intensive care centers. The medical strike stands to be the largest in 14 years, and with negotiations between both sides at a stalemate, some fear it will continue for the long term. Kwon-soa, Arirang News.
The ruling Senuri Party and the main opposition Democratic Party are gearing up for the local June 4th local elections. The Senuri Party has confirmed it will begin reviewing candidates for their primary elections starting next Sunday. The ruling party said it expects the process to be wrapped up by late April. On the other side of the political spectrum, the Democratic Party and Ahn Cheol-soo's new Political Vision Party have finished appointing the people that will make up the 4 subcommittees in charge of establishing their new coalition party.
We start before the sun rises to bring you the latest stories out of Korea. We also lead the way with important global coverage. Stay on the pulse of what is happening with Daybreak.
Japanese Vice Foreign Minister Akataki Saiki will embark on a 2-day trip to Korea beginning Wednesday amid frayed ties between the two sides due to a number of historical and territorial issues. Japan's Foreign Ministry says Saiki will meet with his Korean counterpart Jo Tae-yong and other officials for talks on bilateral relations and issues related to North Korea. Much attention is on the result of the talks since Korean Foreign Minister Yoon Byung-se's demand at the UN session last week that Japan admit to its sexual enslavement of Korean women during the Second World War and make efforts for a resolution of the issue. The talks will be the first high-level meeting between the two nations since Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's trip last December to a shrine that honors Japan's war dead and several Class A war criminals. Over now to the elections in North Korea. The communist state held its first parliamentary elections under the current leader Kim Jong-un, which pundits say stand to further consolidate his power base. The result? Well, you probably won't be surprised to hear that 100% of the vote went to Kim. Connie Kim has the details.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has been elected to a new rubber stamp legislature in the nation's first parliamentary elections since he assumed power. The North's official Korean News Central Agency said Monday that Kim won with 100% of the vote.
All voters in the number 111 Mount Baekdu constituency voted for Kim Jong-un in the 13th Supreme People's Assembly.
The Supreme People's Assembly is North Korea's utmost sovereign organization, the equivalent to South Korea's National Assembly. The nationwide elections are expected to consolidate Kim's power base after the recent purge of close aides, including Jang Song-taek, was executed last year. Analysts say the elections will likely promote officials depending on their loyalty to the young leader. There is also a high possibility that Kim Jong-un's younger sister Kim Yo-jong will hold a key position in the Supreme People's Assembly. She was listed along with senior officials of the Central Committee of the ruling Workers' Party.
Korean Central Television called Kim Yo-jong after Hwang Byung-seo, the vice department director of the Workers' Party. This means that Kim Yo-jong could hold a similar position because of when her name was announced.
North Korean experts speculate that Kim Yo-jong will replace her aunt Kim Kyung-hee in taking care of Kim Jong-un's slush funds. The turnover rate of the new Supreme People's Assembly, which has a total of 689 deputies, is expected to be 40%. Aside from Kim's appointment as deputy, the rest of the results have not been announced. Connie Kim, Arirang News.
Libyan government forces have intercepted a North Korea flagged tanker after it had loaded $30 million worth of crude oil at a rebel-held port. A Libyan lawmaker says the vessel was seized at Al Sidra port and had not been damaged. Rebels at the port have been trying to sell oil without the permission of the Tripoli government. Mohammed al-Hariri, a spokesman for Libya's state-owned National Oil Corporation, says the ship is now being escorted to western Libya. Libya's parliament has ordered a special force to be deployed to, quote, liberate all rebel-held oil ports. Now, some good news because Pope Francis is coming to South Korea. The Presidential Office of Cheong-Wade has confirmed that the Pope will arrive in Korea on August 14th on the invitation of both Seoul and the Korean Catholic Church. During his 5-day stay, Pope Francis will attend Asian Youth Day events in the central city of Daejeon, beatify 124 Koreans and also pay a courtesy call to President Park Geun-hye. The pontiff, who expressed his adoration for Korea when granting the country's third cardinal last month, is expected to call for love and peace on the Korean peninsula and in Northeast Asia. He'll be the first pope to visit Korea since Pope John Paul II came in October 1989.
Good day, I'm Eunice Kim, and here are your headlines from around the world. NATO says it will send reconnaissance planes to help monitor the crisis in Ukraine. This as Russia tightens its control of the Crimea ahead of the scheduled referendum vote on Sunday. A NATO spokesman said the all-clear was given on Monday, adding the planes will only take flight over alliance territory in neighboring Poland and Romania. This as the World Bank said it will increase its support to Ukraine to up to $3 billion this year if the government implements economic reforms. Meanwhile, more fist-clenching in the Crimea, where armed men, likely Russian troops and local militia, stormed a military hospital and took control. There are also reports of gunfire fired in the air at a naval post in the Crimea as a group of 10 unidentified men moved into the post to demand 10 trucks from the Ukrainian staff there. And today marks the third anniversary of the March 11th earthquake, tsunami, and nuclear disaster in Japan. And ahead of it, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said he would resume operations of Japan's nuclear reactors. During a nationally televised address Monday, Abe said he understood the lingering concerns, but assured the public that the restarted reactors have passed extremely strict safety tests. The nuclear shutdown had pushed Japan to import expensive fossil fuel, causing the economy to post deep trade deficits over the last 18 months. Meanwhile, thousands gathered in front of Parliament in a protest rally, including former Japanese Prime Minister Naoto Kan. On Sunday, residents in Iwaki City near the Fukushima nuclear plant remembered the tens of thousands who died in the tsunami that was triggered by the 9.0 magnitude earthquake. And against a backdrop of Iranian-supplied missiles seized by Israeli Navy ships last week, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Monday said the world was deluding itself on Iran's intentions to pursue nuclear weapons. Netanyahu has been an outspoken critic of the deal Iran and 6 world powers had struck for limited relief from sanctions in exchange for Tehran curbing some of its sensitive nuclear activities. On display were M302 surface-to-surface rockets that Israel had said were bound for militants in Gaza, which could be used to strike Israel. Netanyahu urged the world to wake up from its self-deception and stop Iran from developing nuclear weapons. And over in Texas, in Austin, Texas, USA, ex-NSA contractor turned whistleblower Edward Snowden made a rare public appearance via a web link-up at the South by Southwest Interactive Festival. Speaking from his new home in Russia, Snowden urged the audience of tech enthusiasts to help fix the U.S. government surveillance of its citizens. It marks the first time Snowden has directly addressed a group of Americans since fleeing the country last June. And during a Q&A session, Snowden also said he would do it all over again if he had to, adding that the U.S. Constitution was being violated on a massive scale.
And a good Tuesday morning to you all as we kick things off in figure skating, where Kim Yeon-a's agency, All That Sports, announced on Monday that she'll be holding her farewell ice show in May. With the ice show to take place from May 4th to the 6th, Kim Yeon-a will be holding her farewell ice show in Seoul to mark her retirement from the sport. While dates for the ticket sales haven't been confirmed just yet, fans can expect the tickets to sell out in minutes. While it won't be her only ice show after her retirement, it'll be her most anticipated ice show of her career, as fans hope to see her golden performance in May. And shifting over to baseball, where monster pitcher Yoo-Jin of the LA Dodgers is currently preparing for his second season in the majors. And on Monday, it was confirmed that Yoo-Jin will be the #2 starter in the two-game series in Australia to kick off the new season. With the LA Dodgers starting their season in Australia against the Arizona Diamondbacks from March 22nd to the 23rd, manager Don Mattingly confirmed that the South Korean southpaw will be pitching as the #2 starter. With Clayton Kershaw taking the mound as the opening day starter and Zach Greinke out with an injury, Yoo-Jin was chosen over the other starting pitchers in the roster. Ryu, who's usually the #3 starter in the Dodgers starting rotation, finished his rookie season at 14-8 with an ERA of 3.00. And moving over to the KBL, where the 2014 KBL Playoff Media Day took place on Monday, with the 6 head coaches headed over to the playoffs. With the Changwon LG Sakers and the Ulsan Mobis Phoebus going into the semifinals with a bye after finishing the season in first and second place, the head coaches for the two teams hope to see the other 4 teams beat each other up before advancing to the next round. But the SK Knights, the Goyang Orions, and the KT Sonic Boom, plus the Incheon Itilan Elephants, hope to finish off their series quickly to save as much energy as possible going into the semifinals. Meanwhile, Ulsan hopes to defend their title as the favorites going into the playoffs. Moving over to football, where the uniforms for the 4 nations in Group H of the Brazil World Cup have now been revealed, and turns out 3 of the 4 teams will be wearing red. With Korea, Russia, and Belgium all wearing red as their main uniforms, it'll be a fight to see who will get to wear red uniforms when they face off against each other. As for Korea, the red uniforms has long been the symbol of the team and has a better record when wearing the red uniform, as they won 3 of their 5 World Cup wins when wearing that red uniform. But experts predict that Korea will have to wear their white away uniform against Russia and will be wearing their signature red uniform against Belgium and Algeria. And that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day and see you guys again for your sports needs.
Good morning. Well, morning lows are a few notches higher than yesterday, but it's still a chilly morning today. But highs are aiming for low to mid-teens today, and the whole country could bask under lots of sun. The level of dust particles will be low, so it could be a perfect day to soak up some vitamin D from the sun this afternoon. But a dry weather advisory is still in place for most regions, and warning in the southeastern part of the country like Busan, Daegu, Gyeongsangdo, and Ulsan. But we do have a relief coming. Nationwide rain is in store tomorrow, so we can definitely look forward to that. Do keep that in mind, and here are the readings for today. The morning low in Seoul starts out at 0, but afternoon highs will rise to 12, and Daegu and Gwangju should top out at 17 and 16 respectively, while Busan get up to 14 under lots of sunshine. Now for other regions, it looks like down on Jeju will climb up to 14, Daejeon will climb up to 15, while the top temperature on Mount Keungang will be at 5 this afternoon. Now that's all for now, and back to you, Mark, in the studio.
Thank you, Jian. And those are the stories we have for you at this hour. Stick around as we have the first showing of our documentary on the latest rounds of reunions for families separated since the Korean War. That's coming up next, and we'll be back at the same time tomorrow. Until then, goodbye.